You're listening to
the Beer O'Clock.
The Beer O'Clock Show.
You're listening to the Beer O'Clock Show.
Hi, it's Mark and Steve from Beer O'Clock Show here. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Mark.
Hi. And we're putting out this little mini-sode because last night, Wednesday night, at the London MASH event with Beavertown and Brooklyn breweries, Logan Plant from Beavertown and Jasper Cuppage from Camden Town Brewery made just a little announcement, didn't they, Steve? What was it?
You could say that. I mean, we just went along thinking we were going to be in for a fantastic evening of insightful beery discussion, and then to open the evening up, they dropped the announcement that they're forming the United Craft Brewers Association. This is going to be a new association that's being formed to respect, promote, and educate the UK about craft beer. The founding members behind this are Beavertown, Camden Town, Brewdog, Magic Rock, and beer distributors James Clay. It was quite a way to open up the evening. That's to be sure, especially considering that the panel was also made up with other distinguished guests. One of which was Roger Protz, who is obviously a big cameraman, and he was in attendance, and we managed to get a few words with Roger.
Roger, tonight Beavertown, Camden, they announced this United Craft Brewers Association. What's your reaction to that?
I'm very surprised. I think that anything that can be done to advance the interests of small craft brewers has to be welcomed. But I'm slightly nervous of another organisation being formed in this country because, I mean, we have SEBA, which represents 800 of independent breweries. And I think there are perhaps too many organisations. We've got the British Beer and Pub Association, we've got the Independent Family Brewers, we've got SEBA, and now yet another organisation. I think what we need is unity rather than division.
Do you think they might dilute the impact that organisations can have somewhat?
Yeah, I think that is a risk, which I would happily discuss with them. I understand why they're doing it, but I'm not quite certain how you differentiate between a craft brewer and a member of SEBA.
Okay, well, any other comment? Any positives you can see coming out of it?
Well, the positive is that clearly there are more and more small craft brewers. I mentioned earlier that 128 new breweries have opened since last September, so that is absolutely fantastic.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Appreciate that. Right, and a big thanks to Roger for taking a minute and a half to have that very quick line. He was a very busy man. He was mobbed afterwards.
Yeah, just as they all were.
Yes. And while I was doing that little bit of chatter with Roger, Steve, you managed to sneak into an interview that Justin Mason was doing with Steve Hindy from Brooklyn and Logan Plant.
I did indeed, mate, and there's some great stuff coming up in this interview, including Logan pretty much giving down an exclusive rundown of the United Craft Brewers Association sort of terms of reference almost.
Oh, let's listen to that.
Hi, Steve. I'd just like to ask you why you're here this evening. We're over in Beavertown, drinking beer and debate. Can you just tell me why you're in the UK at the moment?
Yeah. Brooklyn Brewery does this cultural festival in about 12 different cities, and it's our way of promoting our beer in different places. And what we try to do is connect with the creative culture in those cities, and that creative culture is the core of our business in New York City. So we want to connect with that culture in all the cities where we sell beer. So there'll be events this week, beer and food events. We did a tasting this afternoon at Mass Brothers Chocolate. It's a Brooklyn company that is now here in London. So we paired up beers with different kinds of chocolates. We do an event on Sunday called the Beefsteak Dinner. There's a long tradition of these dinners with beer and steak in New York City, and we're going to be doing one of those here. We've got a comedy event and a music event, and that's the way we sell beer. And it's basically, we like having fun. and we like other people to have fun, and we like creating community, and bringing people together. And so that's, we don't do national advertising. We never will. We don't do TV advertising, radio advertising, or anything like that. It's really about creating community, and that's why we're here.
So can I ask you, where did you get your association with Logan? Where did you first meet Logan and the association with Beavertown? If I can ask you first, Steve, and then bring Logan in.
Yeah. I wrote a book which came out about a year ago called The Craft Beer Revolution. It's a history of craft beer in America. And so last year, as part of this MASH festival I'm talking about, we decided to do these forums with local brewers and talk about the state of craft beer in their city or in their country. And they were incredibly popular. Last year we did it at Camden, and this year we wanted to do another one in London, and we knew that Beavertown was expanding, and Jasper spoke very highly of Logan, and we met actually at the Craft Brewers Conference out in Portland, Oregon. And, I can't think of a better host for this event than a brewery that is expanding and rising. And I was very happy with the way it went this evening. Actually, there was quite a bit of news that came out of this evening, which is exciting, about the United Craft Brewers of the UK and CAMRA opening up to craft brewers. I couldn't be more happy about the way it went tonight.
No, I can only agree. I think it's been just to take on and start again, I guess, is to be able to as a young brewer, I always go back to my start, but to be able to work and communicate with people like Steve and Brooklyn and the establishment and industry in the US is so important for us as a young industry over here, a craft brewing industry. So to be involved in housing an event with Brooklyn and to bring in and to be able to converse about many different topics, and one of those being the United Craft Brewers that we're looking to form and start. And this is by no means anything that is tied to us, as in Jasper and James and myself and Richard and James from James Clay. This is about starting something that needs to happen to define what we do, how we do it, and define us as part of an industry as a whole. So yeah, to be able to stage an event and not talk just about that, but about everything in general and the state of craft beer. And for me as a youngster coming in 3 years and feeling the industry and almost going blind, at times, into just concentrating on what we're doing as a brewery, what we're brewing, how we're brewing it, and being very considered about that, but also jumping on when we can grow. It's a big learning curve and how we grow.
Obviously, the United Craft Brewers is something that I think for most of us we've heard mentioned for the first time tonight. Can you tell me who's involved in the United Craft Brewers? Who you have in the mix at the moment?
We want everybody involved that apply and that I guess ticks the boxes to the definitions and to our values. And at the moment, it was just friends that got round a table at many festivals, as we do see each other along the way throughout the year. And we decided that we would get together and to take the bull by the horns and actually sit down and start getting things on paper. So there's myself, there's Richard from Magic Rock, there's James from Brewdog, there's Jasper from Camden, and there's James Clay from James Clay. As a 5, we just thought it was important to sit down and start defining some key areas that we wanted to put down in paper, and then put it out there to the open and bring people in and see if we could create something from there.
Can you give me a sort of timescale and who you sort of people you'd like to bring into this mix? Or obviously you're an inclusive. I'm assuming you're an inclusive club, but who are your target audience and who you're trying to bring into
brewers
this?
that I guess work within the definitions that we're looking to apply to what it is to be a craft brewer. So it's not we're not saying that Joe Bloggs can't be, or this little guy can be, or this big guy can't be. It's not that. It's there's our definitions. Do you meet them? Yes, great. Let's join the club and let's keep pushing this forward.
Can you give me your definitions?
I can, but they are very rough at the moment. Let me just see if I have them on paper so I can be quite accurate in what I'm saying. Do I have them? Yes, I do. So, what we've come up with at the moment, and this is by no means set in stone, but our mission, which is very important, is to promote and protect the interest of British craft breweries, their beers, and the community of beer enthusiasts.
Indeed, yeah.
The core values are around promoting and protecting the interests of craft brewers, educating, which is committed to sharing knowledge for the benefits of all members and the British craft brewing industry, and quality, to build a culture of quality in craft brewing through promoting best practices in all areas. Tonight we were talking about, a lady mentioned about cans and how they were going to be, how it was going to go in the wider public, and that's just down to service and education, and that's something that we can put into this about quality and raising the bar and educating. Definitions of what is a craft brewer at the moment, the way we're starting it is to be authentic, brews all beers at original gravity, owns and operates a craft brewery based in the UK. Honest, the place where the beer is brewed is clearly listed on the label of the beer, all ingredients are clearly listed on the label of the beer, and all the beer is brewed at craft breweries. Independent, very similar to the BA, less than 25% of the craft brewery is owned or controlled or equivalent economic interest by an alcoholic beverage industry member that is not itself a craft brewer. So nothing above 25%. And committed. If the brewery has a managed UK estate or wholesales beer, then all the beer sold that is produced in the UK must meet the UCB definition. And then there's larger concepts around lifestyle, community culture, and what we do and how we do it, and our quality and our ingredients and our techniques, I guess, as a whole. But that will be later defined.
These guys are at the very beginning of this, and it's going to be a process. They're gonna have to go through, and don't forget, we're all competitors. We're out there trying to sell beer in the same marketplace.
But you are competitors, but you're walking towards the same goal, and the same goal is to promote good beer over and above
mass commodity.
Yeah, exactly right.
There's more that unites us than divides us. That's the whole idea behind an association. An association can achieve a lot more than we can individually.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's something that we've needed. I don't know, when would you say craft beer started in the UK? It's hard to pin, isn't it?
Well, I would say
it kind of started in the 90s, but then it fizzled out, and now it's back stronger than ever.
Early forms of
I would
Meantime,
say
Thornbridge.
possibly. I mean, you could
Dark
put it
Star.
at Meantime in 2000. However, you could take it back earlier to
Peter Austin.
And you could take it and again to the early
David
movements
Bruce
of Hopback and all those sort of movements in the late 90s. So even you can take it back as far as 1990. So where do you start with craft beer? I think it's a definition that needs to be refined. I think one of these things is that what you need to do is take it and say, right, this is the point where we are now. Where do we go from here?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that is perfect.
It's a starting
this
point.
is what we need, because there's been quite a lot of talk about the UK needs to define what craft beer is. In the US, you're quite happy
We
with
define craft brewer, not craft beer.
Oh, okay.
Craft beer, that's up to the beer drinker. If they consider it craft beer, it's craft beer. We don't tell people what craft beer is. We tell them what a craft brewer is.
Yeah, but the whole movement is the craft beer movement. Yeah, so that's up to the drinker to decide.
The Craft Beer Revolution.
Yeah, so craft beer is the whole movement. Whereas in the UK, what we've had, as you are fully aware, is we've had the cask beer evolution come through, and then we've had the point where actually we've had good beer, and good beer is the defining thing at the moment, where everything tastes.
And it's exciting what Roger said tonight about the the annual general meeting of CAMRA opening up to this new generation of craft brewer in the UK. I think that's really exciting and very positive.
Well, they've gone for the definition. They've accepted keg beer, as long as it's a real keg, and craft keg is the way forward. So I think we're not so far away from. I mean, I know, Logan, your bottles, as you've said, have always been bottle conditioned beer. What you've pulled out the fermenter is exactly what you've put in the bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, well, very much so. I mean, we used to, prior to coming here, it was all bottle conditioned, but now obviously we just we carbonate gently in tank, but we don't filter, we don't fine, we don't pasteurize. So it is what it is. We use temperature to. You
effectively
it's a
fit the CAMRA definition of bottle conditioned beer.
Do we? I mean, if we're again, this is something that I guess is a sticking point. Yeah, we'll have to look into.
Yeah, you're just making great beer.
I think
that's the objective here. There's no formula for getting to great beer, these guys are going to have to go through a lot of discussion and debate among craft brewers here to come up with the ultimate definition. I'm really thrilled that CAMRA has taken this new position, because I think it opens up a door for dialogue between CAMRA and United Craft Brewers, which is going to be very positive for British beer.
I think, like Roger said, it's about shaking their shackles as well and actually embracing and not turning away. I remember having conversations when I first started, and we were a new brew pub. I had many of the local CAMRA members come in and took them down to the cellar and talked to them and explained what we were going into these key kegs, and they were like, oh my God, they couldn't believe it. But when I started to explain the process, that no air actually touches the beer, it's forced in the bag, many of them started to understand, and I think some of them just went, no, it's keg, the word keg. Then there was the East London Beer Festival at Pig's Ear, where they actually had a London keg stand, and I think it was Beavertown and the Colonel, and they had the biggest queue. And it was absolutely, vibrant. Everything went down well. Next year, no, it wasn't there. I don't know why, but I'm glad that now it's moved on. And now,
these guys are the future of beer in the UK, and I think that's what CAMRA's got to come to terms with. I mean, these are the Youngs and the Fullers way back in the beginning, and. I think the big brewers in the U.S., August Busch and Peter Coors, and I've met those guys over the years. I think they looked at us and they knew something's coming here. This is something really new.
It's interesting to hear your point of view from an outsider's point of view, from a US point of view. How do you think the UK scene has developed over the last, for example, 5 to 3 years?
Oh, I think it's incredible.
I know.
The number of free houses now in London, and the number of bars and restaurants carrying UK craft beer and craft beer from the US is, way beyond where it was. When we started selling beer in the 90s, I bet there were less than 10 free houses in London. They just didn't exist. So I see things really changing radically here, not only on the brewing scene, but at the retail scene and the distribution scene. James Clay, independent importer and distributor, is becoming a big company because they're open to these craft brewers, and they're the future.
The UK scene obviously owes a big part to, in certain extent, to the UK scene. So just to wrap up, because I know you need to do a book signing.
Right.
How do you see us evolving over the next year to 2 years?
I think things are going to change here rapidly.
Laying more concrete.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that these guys are pouring concrete the morning of we're having an event here. So I think things are going to develop very, very quickly here. And I also feel that United Craft Brewers is going to do more to change the industry here than anything that's happened in the last 30 years. Change it in a positive way compared to the way it's changed with, the big pub chains and all that kind of stuff, and the consolidation of the breweries and driving out all the regionals. This is the future, and this is the regionals coming back, but powerfully and driven by young, ambitious people compared to old third or second, third, fourth generation families who, they got rich and they got tired. And these guys are driven to succeed.
I do have one final question. What are Brooklyn going to bring to the UK within the next year?
The UK, I think within the next year, is going to be our biggest market. It's on a trajectory to go way beyond where Sweden is now. Sweden's our biggest export market. And it'll be second right behind New York City for us, which I'll be, thrilled to see that happen. But I think what's really going to drive craft culture in the UK is not Brooklyn Brewery. It's these guys with their craft breweries.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time.
Whew, what a night, mate.
I know. Like I say, considering we were just going along just for a bit of a beer and a bit of a listen, for that to be dropped, boom. Wow. Yes. I mean, that was something that just couldn't wait for season 7, mate. And I think obviously the dust will settle on this over the next couple of weeks. But I think we were there at the start of a new dawn. I really do. And obviously we'll follow up on this on future shows.
Yeah, it was all rather exciting, it has to be said. But we'll let the excitement just settle over the next couple of weeks before we come back. From actually, if you listen to this on the feed, tomorrow night we've got our end of season special, and then we're taking a couple of weeks off. So until next time, bye, Steve.
Cheers.